Hello Golden State Warriors fans. We are here once again to bring you the latest news related to our team, and I would like to emphasize how committed we are to improving our performance to achieve great results. Before we dive into this intriguing news, I kindly request you to show your support by clicking the like button, and if you are not yet subscribed to our channel, I invite you all to join us on an exciting journey. Remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything.
The Golden State Warriors just made a blockbuster move, but the debut fans were waiting for isn't happening yet. And now another superstar could be sidelined too. So what does this mean for Golden State? The excitement surrounding Kristaps Porzingis hit a pause almost as quickly as it began. Fans hoping to see the 30-year-old center immediately will now have to wait until after the All-Star break for his debut. There had been real anticipation that Porzingis would suit up quickly following Wednesday night's blockbuster trade with the Atlanta Hawks. But head coach Steve Kerr revealed the veteran will miss the next 2 games and has already been ruled out for Saturday night's matchup against the Lakers in Los Angeles. Here's the twist. Porzingis hasn't played since January 7 because of Achilles tendonitis. However, he had actually been cleared from that injury and was scheduled to play Tuesday for the Hawks against the Miami Heat, before being scratched at the last minute due to illness. You might be thinking, if he was cleared, why wait even longer? The Warriors are clearly taking a conservative approach, especially considering his extensive history of injuries and health issues. Kerr said the franchise plans to have the Latvian big man ramp up workouts at home, targeting a return after the break. And when that return finally happens, it may come in a game packed with storylines. Availability can shape expectations as much as talent. Porzingis has played more than 57 games only once in the past 10 seasons. This season alone, he made just 17 appearances with the Hawks. Before that, he played only 42 games with the Boston Celtics during the 2024-25 season. The Warriors traded for a championship-caliber center, but patience is now part of the plan. And patience could define the next stretch of their season, because Porzingis isn't the only major name dealing with uncertainty. In another disappointing update, Kerr revealed that superstar Stephen Curry may also remain out until after the All-Star game. The two-time MVP will miss his 3rd straight game against the Lakers after exiting during the 3rd quarter of a loss to the Detroit Pistons last Friday. He was later diagnosed with a patellar contusion. You might be thinking, can a team survive without both a new star and its franchise cornerstone? That question is about to be tested. Let's put the situation into perspective. Porzingis has topped 57 games only once in a decade, 17 appearances this season, 42 games last year. Curry potentially out through the All-Star stretch. Jimmy Butler already lost for the season with a serious knee injury. Seth Curry still dealing with persistent sciatic nerve pain. Multiple key players are battling health issues, and the Warriors are simply trying to stay afloat before the break. Yet despite everything, the team is hoping to steal another win or two after an impressive comeback victory over the Phoenix Suns on Thursday night. That kind of resilience suddenly matters more than ever. Here's the contrast shaping this moment. On one side, the Warriors just added a 2024 champion in Porzingis, a move that signals ambition. On the other, they're slowing things down immediately, prioritizing long-term stability over short-term excitement. Aggressive acquisition, careful deployment. It's a balance every contender tries to strike, and that balance could lead directly into one of the most emotionally charged games of the season. If timelines hold, Porzingis' Warriors debut will likely come against his former team when Boston visits the Bay Area in the first game after the All-Star break on February 19th. That alone would have drawn attention. But there's more. Al Horford, Porzingis' teammate on that championship Celtics squad, is also preparing to face his old team for the first time after joining the Warriors as a free agent. Suddenly, what looked like just another post-break matchup feels much bigger. Familiar faces, recent history, and a debut layered with meaning. If you're the Warriors, do you prioritize patience now, or push for momentum heading into the second half? For now, Golden State isn't chasing headlines, it's chasing health. The plan is survival until reinforcements arrive. Because when Porzingis finally steps on the floor, And when Curry returns, this team could look very different from the one grinding through the present moment. But until then, the waiting might be the hardest part, and sometimes waiting reveals more about a team than winning ever could. This is where discipline replaces urgency, where medical timelines matter more than fan excitement. Golden State isn't ignoring the noise. It's choosing not to be controlled by it. Because rushing a return now could cost far more later. You can feel the organization leaning toward the bigger picture. Not just the next game, but the stretch that follows. Still, the uncertainty creates tension. Every missed game shifts attention back to who is available and who isn't, and that reality forces adjustments in real time. The Warriors are navigating a stretch defined less by strategy and more by endurance. Holding position becomes the objective. Stability becomes the win. You might be thinking, is this simply bad timing? Or is this the kind of challenge that quietly shapes a season? Either way, the approach is clear. Protect the players, manage the workload. Arrive at the other side of the All-Star break in better condition than they are today. Because once that break ends, the spotlight turns immediately to what comes next. A debut against a former team always carries weight, but this one feels layered. History on one bench, familiarity on the other, and emotions that don't always show up in a box score. For Porzingis, that first appearance won't just mark a return to the court. It will mark the beginning of a new chapter, against a franchise that already knows his game. At the same time, Al Horford, preparing to face his old team, adds another thread to the night. Connections like that tend to raise the intensity without anyone needing to say a word. And while that moment builds in the distance, the present still demands attention. Games still arrive. Expectations don't pause. The Warriors still have to compete while key pieces recover, which brings the focus right back to resilience, back to finding enough consistency to bridge the gap. Because surviving this stretch isn't about perfection, it's about staying within reach. Another strong effort like the comeback against Phoenix would help reinforce that belief. Proof that momentum can exist even when circumstances aren't ideal. Proof that response matters more than comfort. And quietly, that may be the identity being tested right now. Not how explosive the roster looks on paper, but how steady it remains when plans get delayed. There's also a psychological side to all of this. Anticipation grows when something is postponed. Expectations build, and by the time Porzingis finally steps onto the floor, the moment could feel even bigger than originally imagined. That's the paradox of patience. The longer the wait, the brighter the spotlight. Meanwhile, Curry's situation hovers over everything. When a two-time MVP is unavailable, the absence is impossible to ignore. Leadership shifts, responsibilities expand, margins tighten. Yet teams often discover something about themselves in stretches like these. Something that doesn't show up when everything runs smoothly. So now, the path forward is simple, even if it isn't easy. Stay afloat, stay connected, stay ready for the reinforcements that are expected after the break, because once those pieces return, the evaluation changes. The conversation changes. Maybe even the ceiling changes. Until then, every possession carries a little extra weight. Every game becomes part of the bridge between what is and what might soon be. And when that long-awaited debut finally arrives, it won't just answer questions about timing. It will begin to answer questions about direction. For now, though, the Warriors remain in that uncomfortable space between anticipation and reality. Waiting for health, waiting for availability, waiting for the moment when potential can finally be seen instead of imagined. And in a season where so much can shift quickly, sometimes the strongest move a team can make is simply refusing to rush what comes next. Lonzo Ball rumors are sending a powerful message about just how much trust the Golden State Warriors have in one of their most important figures behind the scenes. Can they bring him back to full strength? According to reports, the Warriors are closely monitoring veteran point guard Lonzo Ball, who is currently available in free agency after being traded by the Cleveland Cavaliers and waived by the Utah Jazz before Thursday's deadline. Ball has appeared in just 70 games over the past 4 years, a number that speaks volumes. If Golden State moves forward, it would represent a massive vote of confidence in Rick Celebrini, the franchise's respected medical leader, and it wouldn't be the first time the organization has leaned on him during a critical moment. Ball was sidelined by a serious and lingering knee issue from January 2022 until October 2024. That kind of absence tests not only a player's body, but also his ability to rediscover rhythm, confidence, and durability once he returns. Last season, he fought his way back onto the floor, playing 35 games for the Chicago Bulls. His performance was strong enough to earn a new 2-year contract worth $20 million, a sign that teams still believed in what he could offer. At 28 years old, Ball was viewed as a smart addition when the Cavaliers signed him in the preseason. He managed to stay relatively healthy, appearing in another 35 games this season, but sometimes availability alone isn't enough. Things simply didn't click. Ball averaged 4.6 points, 4.0 rebounds, 3.9 assists, and 1.3 steals while struggling mightily with efficiency, shooting just 30.1% from the field and 27.2% from three-point range. Numbers like those can cool interest quickly, yet talent isn't always measured by recent stat lines alone. When you factor in his versatility and rare size for a point guard, it becomes easier to understand why Golden State might be willing to take a low-risk chance. NBA insiders Jake Fisher and Mark Stein first reported Saturday that the Warriors are considering exactly that type of move. Sometimes teams don't just evaluate what a player is, they evaluate what he could still become. But if Ball were to arrive, Celebrini and the Warriors' medical staff would be taking on even more responsibility, and their workload is already growing. Jimmy Butler is preparing to begin rehabilitation for a torn ACL that will sideline him for the remainder of the season following surgery scheduled for Monday. Losing a star player for that long reshapes the physical and emotional demands placed on an organization. Meanwhile, Stephen Curry, the face of the franchise, is dealing with patellofemoral pain syndrome and is set to miss his 3rd consecutive game when the Warriors face the Los Angeles Lakers on Saturday night, and the injury concerns don't stop there. Curry's younger brother, Seth, is recovering from a sciatic nerve issue that has forced the veteran shooter to miss the last 29 games. Extended absences like that quietly test roster depth and internal resilience. Against that backdrop, Golden State's front office hasn't slowed down. The team added Kristaps Porzingis on Wednesday, fully aware that he arrives with a lengthy injury history and a complicated illness. Moves like that signal ambition, but they also increase the importance of elite medical guidance. Bringing Ball into the picture would only add another layer to that challenge. NBA reporter Chris Haynes shared Saturday that multiple teams, presumably including the Warriors, have requested access to Ball's medical records. That step alone reveals how seriously organizations are weighing both the risk and the potential reward. Because sometimes, the difference between a gamble and a breakthrough comes down to the people responsible for a player's care. And if history is any indication, Celebrini has earned that belief. One of his most notable successes came with Otto Porter Jr. during the Warriors' 2022 championship season. The 6'8" forward had played more than 28 games only once across his previous 5 seasons. That changed in Golden State. Porter appeared in 63 games, then added 19 more in the playoffs, ultimately becoming a crucial piece of a title-winning roster. It was the kind of turnaround that strengthened the organization's reputation for player health management. Stories like that don't just build credibility, they build trust. So as the Warriors weigh the possibility of signing Lonzo Ball, the decision may go far beyond basketball fit. It may reflect a deeper organizational identity, one that believes the right medical structure can unlock value others are hesitant to chase. The question now isn't just whether Ball can help the Warriors, it's whether the Warriors believe they can help Ball. That belief can shape the direction of a season. When a franchise repeatedly places its trust in medical expertise, it signals patience, long-term thinking, and a willingness to see opportunity where others might see uncertainty. For Golden State, this is not happening in isolation. The team is navigating a stretch filled with physical setbacks, and every potential addition must be evaluated through the lens of health, recovery, and sustainability. Adding Lonzo Ball would not simply be about talent. It would be about timing, conditioning, and the confidence that his body can withstand the demands ahead. And that is why the attention surrounding Rick Celebrini continues to grow. His role is no longer just supportive. It is central to how the Warriors manage risk during a season already shaped by injuries to key players. The possible arrival of Ball would reinforce that reality. Because while his recent production with Cleveland suggests things did not unfold as hoped, his profile still carries intrigue. Size, versatility, and defensive instincts remain difficult traits to overlook, especially when available at a low cost. For a front office balancing immediate needs with future stability, those are exactly the kinds of calculated bets that can redefine depth. But every calculated bet comes with a question. Not just whether a player can perform, but whether he can stay on the floor. Golden State has already accepted that challenge with other roster moves. Bringing in players with complex medical histories places enormous importance on preparation, monitoring, and rehabilitation strategies. It also creates a ripple effect throughout the organization. Training schedules must adjust. Recovery timelines must be protected. Expectations must remain flexible. And internally, it demands alignment, from executives to coaches to performance staff, on how much risk is acceptable in pursuit of upside. Requesting Ball's medical records underscores that this is not a casual conversation. It is due diligence, the kind that often precedes decisions capable of influencing roster structure. At the same time, the Warriors understand what success in this area can look like. Otto Porter Jr. His resurgence during the championship run remains a powerful reminder that the right environment can change a player's trajectory. Availability transformed him from a question mark into a reliable contributor when it mattered most. That example still echoes inside the organization. It serves as proof that investment in health infrastructure can pay off in moments that define seasons. Yet past success does not eliminate present risk. Each case is different. Each recovery follows its own timeline, and each decision carries consequences that may not be fully visible until months later. For Ball, the path back from a prolonged knee issue already demonstrated resilience. Returning to play 35 games last season showed that persistence can reopen doors that once appeared closed. Earning a new contract reinforced that perception. Still, his recent struggles illustrate how fragile momentum can be in professional sports. Staying healthy is one hurdle. Rediscovering consistent impact is another. That dual reality is likely part of what makes Golden State's evaluation so deliberate. They are not just studying the player Ball once was. They are examining the version of him that could exist within their system, under their care, and inside a structure that has previously revived careers. Meanwhile, the broader situation facing the Warriors only heightens the stakes. With Jimmy Butler preparing for season-ending recovery, Stephen Curry managing his knee condition, and Seth Curry continuing to heal, durability is no longer a background concern. It is a defining theme. Every roster decision now intersects with that theme. Every addition must strengthen the team's ability to endure the long stretch ahead. In that sense, the Lonzo Ball rumors reveal more than simple interest. They reveal an organizational mindset, one that refuses to stop searching for solutions, even when the path forward is complicated. Because sometimes the difference between caution and confidence is the belief that you have the right people guiding the process, and Golden State appears willing to lean into that belief once again. Whether Ball ultimately joins the Warriors remains uncertain. But the very possibility highlights something important. This is a franchise unafraid of difficult evaluations, especially when the potential reward aligns with its internal strengths. If the move happens, it will not just reflect hope in a player's recovery, it will reflect conviction in the system designed to support it. And if there is one thing the Warriors have shown before, it is that trust, when placed in the right hands, can quietly become one of the most valuable assets a team possesses. The Golden State Warriors made a roster move that felt less like a surprise and more like the inevitable next step. It was only a matter of time. Just 48 hours after the NBA trade deadline, Golden State signed guard Pat Spencer to a standard contract for the remainder of the season, according to ESPN's Shams Charania on Saturday. The timing wasn't random. It was necessary. Spencer played in his 50th game Thursday night against the Phoenix Suns, the maximum allowed under a two-way contract. From that moment forward, the Warriors had a decision to make if they wanted him available for the games ahead. They didn't hesitate. The franchise simply couldn't afford to wait, especially with Stephen Curry dealing with a knee issue that has already forced the two-time MVP to miss 3 straight games, including Saturday night's road matchup against the Los Angeles Lakers. Opportunity tends to arrive suddenly in the NBA, and when Curry went down, that opportunity found Spencer. He was elevated into the starting lineup against the Suns, a responsibility that can overwhelm some players. But Spencer responded the way dependable contributors often do, by delivering exactly when his team needed it most. The performance spoke loudly. Spencer shattered his previous personal best of 3 made three-pointers by hitting 5 in the first half alone and finishing with 6 for the game. 20 points followed. Not only a new career high, but also the highest total on the team that night. And it came during a dramatic fourth-quarter comeback that lifted the Warriors to a 101-97 victory. Moments like that can change how a player is viewed inside an organization. This now marks the second consecutive season in which Spencer began on a two-way contract before earning a place on the main roster. Last year, he appeared in 39 games before being signed to a standard deal just in time for the playoffs. But this season has told a slightly different story. His role has grown. His presence has become more noticeable. His impact has been harder to ignore. What makes that rise even more remarkable is how uncertain his path once appeared. Spencer signed his two-way contract on Media Day, hardly the timeline of someone guaranteed a meaningful role. In fact, he might not have secured that deal at all if Australian guard Taron Armstrong hadn't declined the Warriors' qualifying two-way offer in favor of playing overseas. Sometimes careers pivot on decisions made by others. Spencer made sure he was ready when that door opened. Golden State also positioned itself for this move through its trade deadline activity. By sending out 3 players, the team reduced its roster from 15 to 13, creating the flexibility needed to promote Spencer without delay. Jonathan Kuminga and Buddy Hield were traded to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for veteran center Kristaps Porzingis, while Trace Jackson-Davis was sent to the Toronto Raptors for a second-round pick. Those transactions reshaped the roster, but they also quietly cleared a path. Now, Spencer officially steps into a larger opportunity. Across 36 games this season, he has averaged 5.8 points, 2.2 rebounds, and 2.9 assists, while shooting 42.3% from the field and an impressive 43.1% from beyond the arc. Efficiency like that builds trust. Trust earns minutes, and minutes create the chance for nights like the one fans just witnessed. The promotion is more than a contractual update. It's recognition, a signal that the organization values what he brings, especially during a stretch where depth suddenly matters more than ever. Because when a star is unavailable, stability becomes priceless. Spencer now finds himself preparing for another major test. With Curry still sidelined, he is expected to start once again against the Lakers, carrying momentum from what was easily the most electrifying performance of his career. The challenge now shifts from proving he belongs to proving he can sustain it. For the Warriors, the decision reflects both practicality and belief. Practicality, because roster rules forced action. Belief, because performances like Thursday's make that action feel justified. And for Spencer, the message is unmistakable. Stay ready, because readiness can turn a temporary chance into something permanent. That permanence, however, is never guaranteed. In the NBA, every new role brings a new level of scrutiny. Defenses adjust, expectations rise, and the margin for error narrows almost immediately. For Spencer, the next stretch will be less about one breakout night and more about consistency. Teams often learn quickly who can handle an expanded role and who is still adjusting to it. Golden State appears ready to find out. His recent performance did more than help secure a win. It reinforced the idea that preparation can quietly shape outcomes long before the spotlight arrives. Players on two-way contracts rarely control their timelines. Injuries, roster shifts, and strategic needs often dictate when, or if, their opportunity appears. When Spencer's moment came, he met it with confidence. And confidence can ripple through a locker room. Teammates notice reliability. Coaches notice composure. Front offices notice players who respond under pressure rather than shrink from it. That is often how trust is built in real time. Yet the broader context matters just as much. With Curry sidelined, the Warriors are navigating a temporary change in identity. Offensive flow, ball handling responsibilities, and perimeter shooting all require adjustment when a central figure is unavailable. In those moments, stability from role players becomes essential rather than optional. Spencer's promotion suggests the organization believes he can help provide that stability. It also reflects a team responding quickly to circumstance instead of waiting for clarity. The trade deadline reshaped the roster, and this signing ensured that one emerging contributor would not be lost to contractual limitations. Timing, once again, proved critical. There is also something symbolic about converting a two-way deal into a standard contract. It signals progression, the transition from proving potential to being counted on. For a 29-year-old guard, that transition carries weight. Experience often brings a different kind of urgency, a sharper awareness that opportunities must be seized rather than anticipated. And now, another test approaches. Starting again in Curry's absence, places Spencer directly in the flow of the game from the opening tip. Early minutes demand poise, especially against an opponent prepared to challenge every decision. Performances like the one against Phoenix can generate momentum, but sustaining that energy requires focus on the details that rarely headline post-game conversations: spacing, decision-making, defensive awareness. Those are the habits that transform a strong night into a reliable pattern. Meanwhile, Golden State's willingness to act quickly after the deadline hints at a larger organizational priority: adaptability. Seasons rarely unfold exactly as planned, and teams that react decisively often position themselves to weather uncertainty more effectively. Promoting Spencer fits that philosophy. Rather than searching outside the roster for immediate help, the Warriors rewarded someone already familiar with their system. Familiarity shortens the adjustment period. Continuity reduces disruption. And during stretches shaped by injuries, those advantages can matter more than star power alone. Still, the road forward will reveal whether this move becomes a footnote or a turning point. Because sometimes the most meaningful roster decisions are not the ones that dominate headlines, but the ones that quietly strengthen the rotation when it is needed most. Spencer now stands at that intersection, between opportunity and expectation, between a breakthrough performance and the challenge of repeating it. For the Warriors, the equation is straightforward. Identify who is ready, support them, and trust the work already done behind the scenes. And if Thursday night was any indication, Pat Spencer has already taken a significant step towards showing he is ready for whatever comes next.